This is quite the tale so far, Ray. Perhaps we should give our prospective future listeners a bit of backstory. I believe I was 10 years old, staying summers with my aunt who had moved to the States when we met in Kentucky.
She used to come by the station often, always having fluids checked, tires rotated. She was meticulous about her vehicles.
She was meticulous about everything.
A trait you seem to share.
Indeed. Imagine my surprise when I saw you in upstate New York almost 30 years later. And you hadn't aged a day. How is that even possible?
I was shocked you remembered me, especially after I tried to brush you off. But as to your question, a long time ago, what feels like an age, I came across an object. I've always had this restless curiosity, one that's led me to places and things I probably should have avoided. But you know how it is. One mystery leads to another, each more baffling than the last.
I'm listening.
One of those discoveries was different, an odd relic, maddening, really. It twisted and folded on itself in ways that defied, well, everything I knew about reality.
How do you mean?
Like, imagine something existing but also not existing. No beginning, no end. Just an endless loop, writhing and bending in on itself, like it was alive.
What the hell?
When I touched it, that's when things changed. The pain, it surged through me like fire. No, something worse. It was like I could feel time itself pressing down on me, an unbearable weight. I thought I was going to burn out. White-hot, blinding pain. When I woke up, the object was gone, but there was this pain, right here, over my heart. I thought I'd had a heart attack from the shock, but when I checked, there it was, beneath my skin, its ridges still moving, writhing.
And that's what made you...
It is the source of my longevity. Yes.
Does it still hurt?
Not really. I always know it's there, though, like when something's stuck in your teeth. The mind gets used to it after a while, but I doubt I go a full day without feeling it.
That's unbelievable.
Maybe that's enough backstory for now. I'm sure we're well past the point of credulity for any future listeners anyway. Shall we get back to the goblins?
Certainly.
After borrowing a flashlight from the family, I made my way into the woods in pursuit of the creatures. They informed me of their plan to flee the farm and seek out the sheriff for assistance. I kindly asked them not to reveal my involvement in the incident, to which they agreed. I pressed into the silent Kentucky woods, mind ablaze with the possibilities of finding the source of such an odd occurrence. The forest was unnervingly quiet. Not even the crickets dared to sing. My own footfalls seemed far too loud in the stillness, as if the trees themselves were listening. Up ahead, the figures seemed to glide, sometimes in bipedal form, sometimes as iridescent orbs. Their shapes shifted in and out of view, warping and dissolving in the blink of an eye. Each movement was punctuated by an unnatural hum, like the crackling of unseen static. Time stretched and warped, and I became unsure of how far I had traveled when I finally found myself standing at the mouth of a cave. The entrance wasn't large, big enough for two men to walk abreast for a few feet before it started to narrow. I stopped, the beam of my flashlight wavering as I hesitated. Did I really want to follow them into the cramped darkness? I've never been fond of tight spaces, or heights for that matter. Being nearly indestructible has only vaguely dulled those fears. The lights bounced ahead, further into the narrowing passage. With a reluctant sigh, I pushed forward. Here and there, the same sickly luminescence we'd seen on the fence decorated the cave walls. Sometimes it was smeared like an accident, other times arranged in symbols that echoed the one I saw earlier. The glowing glyphs etched into the stone repulsed, yet somehow drew me in. I couldn't understand them, but they whispered of things ancient, best forgotten. Ever deeper I pushed, no longer needing the weak yellow glow of the flashlight. My pulse quickened with excitement, and just a touch of that fear that truly reminds you you're alive. The tunnel had grown tighter now. I was stooping, sometimes crawling, praying desperately there wouldn't be a sudden cave-in. The object in my chest began to thrum softly, like a trapped insect buzzing under my skin. Just when the walls were beginning to press on my lungs, the tunnel opened into a vast cavern, and there, before me, was a large cylindrical object. A UFO, if you will, but it was wrong. Ephemeral, shifting, and far from solid. The object began to pulse, in sync with the growing throb in my chest. Thump. 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 The vision twisted. The craft blurred and became something else, a step pyramid, rising ominously out of the shadows. A tiny figure at the apex lifted his hand, then brought it down forcefully. The crowd below roared in unison as he held a severed head aloft. The visions shifted again, my senses spinning wildly. A city crumbled under waves, sinking into the sea. I became aware of a presence, a cruel, mocking amusement that wormed its way into my thoughts. Desperate, I shouted into the blackness, "Who are you?" Laughter. Harsh, cold laughter echoed in my skull, thick with satisfaction. Then, just as suddenly, I was alone again in the dark.